This is just a short video about food and eating, and kind of with the whole you know, food prices going up and wages going down and, you know, all that sort of stuff. It means that it's getting harder and harder to kind of save money, and a video about how I've been looking for ways to save money and to be able to, you know, still eat healthily and eat good food and to have the odd drink. I mean, there's still a lot of things that I'd like to do. I'd really like to get chickens, but at the moment that's kind of because we've got a shared garden and we don't know what if they get new tenants into the property next door, if we're sharing the garden, if they don't want us to have chickens, then that will get a bit... last year I did try growing my own vegetables, and it was a bit of a disaster because the type of garden that we've got is basically a really shady garden, so it was really difficult to grow anything. And also we were sharing it with some people who had some tenants who had the rights to the main part of the garden, so we just had like a tiny patch. But hopefully if we move house soon, then we'll be able to have a proper garden and a greenhouse and everything. So that's kind of, yeah, my dream is just to be able to be really self-sufficient vegetable-wise, and have a lot of vegetables growing, and that would just be sort of the perfect situation. The trouble is with the English weather is so, you know, unpredictable. Last year I was trying to grow lots of sweet corn, and then you know, you put so much attention into it, so much effort into it, and then finally planted them out, and then, you know, thought that there was going to be no more frost, and then a frost came and killed them all, so then I had to start all over again. But by that time I sort of missed the window of opportunity for kind of having them ready by summer, and so that was kind of annoying. So one of the things I've been doing is brewing beer, which is definitely a money saver. It costs about £13 or £14 to get the raw ingredients, and that makes about 40 pints. So if you think about how much money you're saving there, I mean, that's not to say that we don't go and have the odd drink up at the pub and things like that, but on a day-to-day basis, I mean, I've given up alcohol, so for me it's probably less of a issue. But I can still use it for beer is really great for cooking. You can use it in stews and marinades and all sorts of things, and it just gives a nice flavour to the food. So it's still a useful thing to have, and sort of try to have like 2 barrels here on the go, and then one that's fermenting. So you're basically doing it around like in a sort of cycle. So this one's nearly empty, and we're just about to start this one here, and then there's another one that's just brewing at the moment. So that's a pretty good thing. I'd like to be able to get good at making wine, but I don't know, so you probably can't really see it very well, but this is the one that's fermenting, and it's just like a massive bucket basically, and it's just in the airing cupboard. It has to be somewhere warm. So that takes about... So another thing that's worth considering, I mean, it sort of depends whether you live near any farms, but we're lucky because we live around loads of farms, and basically our local farmer sells these massive, like there's literally 20 kilos of carrots and 20 kilos of parsnips. It's absolutely huge, great big sack. And guess how much that cost? Both of those together cost £2.50. So, I mean, you would usually, if you went to the supermarket, you might get sort of five or six parsnips or something for £2.50. Or like, well, you know, 5 or 6 parsnips and 5 or 6 carrots would cost you like £2.50 altogether. And the reason that he's sort of selling them is that basically they're just ones that are slightly, you know, they're sort of not perfect. They've got slight bruises on, or you know, slightly wobbly shape or something. And obviously the supermarkets don't want to buy those ones off him, so he has to sort of get rid of them somehow. And they're fine to eat. We've just been having them in stews and curries, and you know, you can do so much with them. And they're great for just bulking up meals. and that's just going to last absolutely ages. And what I'll probably do if they start going a little bit kind of, if they start going a little bit stale, then I'll probably just make them all into a massive batch of soup, carrot and coriander soup maybe, and then parsnip and some sort of parsnip soup, and just freeze it, so that way it's not going to waste. But yeah, it's just fantastic, and I recommend kind of going and checking out local farms, because a lot of the time farmers do want to get rid of excess vegetables and excess crops that they can't sell to the supermarkets if it's not perfect, or if it's just excess. Another thing I've been cooking with recently is coconut oil, which is amazing, and you actually only need a tiny bit to cook with, and you actually, even if you don't like the taste of coconut, you can't really notice it so much, but it's much healthier than most other types of oil, and a tub like this, you know, isn't too expensive, and it will last for ages. So she found that's something I recommend. It's very nice with Marmite, which might surprise some people, but I am a big Marmite fan. So coconut oil, a tiny bit of coconut oil and a cracker with some Marmite is actually really delicious. So that's kind of my secret naughty snack. Now I've been trying to give up bread in the new year, because I find like it just sort of bloats me out. So in order to kind of, if I have a craving for say Marmite or peanut butter or you know, jam or something, oat cake, like a couple of oat cakes, and that's kind of like healthier than having bread. For me it is anyway. I'm sure like there's lots of people that can eat loads of bread and it doesn't have any sort of negative effect on being oat cakes. They sort of keep you full up for quite a while, even though, you know, you'd think having just 2 or 3 wouldn't really fill you up, but actually the thing I do is filling. I like to batch cook loads of things and freeze them. It's actually much cheaper if you buy like the ingredients in bulk and make, say, you know, like 30 tubs of stew or casserole or curry or whatever it is. So I've got some red Thai curry cooking, and I love having loads of different herbs and spices and, you know, things like that. And one day when I'm super organised and I've got my life in order, I'm going to actually sort all of this out and have it looking neat and tidy, because I agree it looks a bit like a bit of a mess having all of these different spices. But they're great way to bring lots of flavour to your food. This is a really good one. It's a ras el hanout. If you want to make a sort of Moroccan dish, that makes a really tasty dish, and that just lasts for ages in there. And you don't really have to add much. So I guess there's lots more ways of saving money, and I'm just a big fan of, you know, home cooking, and I love experimenting and just cooking loads of things, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to be able to do that. So that's just my way, really, of trying to eat well and save money at the same time. I'm sure there's lots of more things that I could be doing that I'd like to do, but sort of limited by where I'm living and things like that. One thing I want to do this year, which I didn't get around to doing last year, was we do have a lot of apple trees. So with all the apples that get grown, they just usually end up. So I'd really like to try and be organised and, you know, collect them up and do some sort of pickle or something with them. I haven't decided what. Maybe make kind of make various kind of apple sauces and cider and things like that. Because that's something to try and make the most out of. I'd also like to be able to understand more about things like mushrooms, what kind of mushrooms you can eat and which are the dangerous ones. But I'm a little bit scared about kind of getting it wrong. And I mean, if I get it wrong and I end up on some kind of mad psychedelic trip, then that's not so bad. But if I end up getting it wrong and dying, then that's maybe that maybe isn't kind of quite so good. So I think I have to read up a bit more on that before I try and start picking mushrooms. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on the matter. It's just the way that I'm eating and the way I'm cooking, and that's all for now.